Does it matter how we look? Is it just our audio right now?
No, we're on camera and on audio.
Like you're recording camera and audio?
Yep, I'm recording camera and audio, so people can see us, and I'm gonna strip the audio so that people can hear us on whatever app I use. And we're on.
What up?
First ever fill in the blank. Welcome, Gabby Vasquez,
ATL.
co-founder of Roots of ATL.
Co-founder, the founder.
I don't know, co-founder sounded cooler. Co-founder, CEO.
Head bitch in charge.
Lord of the Crust. Mother of Rooster. How you feeling?
Mother of all roosters.
I know that you just came from the bathroom, so you're probably feeling really nice.
I hear you. Wasn't long enough because I didn't get this post up.
All right, I'll let you put the post on while we figure out what we're going to talk about.
No, it's good. I shared. We're in. We're live.
So thank you for hopping on this, because this is literally the first thing I'm doing ever. And you came up with the name of this, which is really cool, off of, I think I FaceTimed you like 4 times.
Yeah.
That's what I do every
Give it
day.
to you in my first pitch.
Yep. And you came with discovering the blank in you by listening to the blank in them.
Yeah.
Which was deep for
Wow, I'm very deep.
For a Wednesday. Yesterday was Wednesday, for a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
And then
Things are just on the top of my head.
Yeah. That's why I call.
Yeah.
I have like 4 people that I FaceTime daily.
Yeah.
You're probably 3 of them.
I know.
And then I came back with a snappy fill in the blank, which sounded like a talk show, but is going to be the podcast. So
it's a talk show. This is a talk show.
I guess so, because we both have coffee. So I told you to have your coffee ready.
Yeah, it's cold though.
Mine is too.
That's what happens when you have a 1-year-old.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Give me. So this is I don't even know the format of this stuff yet, right? So give me kind of like what's the comic book story of Gabby Vasquez, or now Gabby Sumlin, I should say.
Well, legally it's still Gabby Vasquez.
Yeah. Passport hasn't been changed yet. Neither is Cat.
Nothing's been changed. Nothing's been changed yet.
The only one that's actually on that is Andrea. She did it within like weeks.
Yeah, I'm just not that motivated to. It's not a big deal to me. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen in a few years. Honestly.
Supposedly it's a big deal when your kids go to school, because then you're going to like parent-teacher conferences and you're Vasquez and she's Sumlin, and they think you're like the baby mama.
I am the baby mama though.
Yeah, but like
it's pretty an issue for like the doc. I mean, it's actually not an issue. I mean, I take her to the doctors and like, my last name's different.
True.
I'm not motivated really to change it.
It's not that hard here. For Kat, she actually has to go back to Colombia to legally change her name there, and then she can use the paperwork to change it here.
I would never.
Yeah, so it's a lot.
No,
so
I would never. I don't even know what it requires here. I literally, that's how much I haven't looked into it. I couldn't tell you.
There's Andrea sent us a package. It's literally like a portal, and you pay $700, I think.
Absolutely not.
But it does everything in one. So it's the passport, it's the driver's license, it's, I guess, all whatever legal documents, all changed to Sumlin.
Yeah, but I have like my business license and like all these things are in Vasquez. Bank accounts.
True.
Car, no.
Yeah.
One day.
My mom never changed. My mom changed her name once and then never changed it back.
What do you mean?
She's
still Vasquez?
To Vasquez, and then when they got divorced, she never changed it back to Hernandez, and then she got married again, and then never changed it. So she's still Iris Vasquez.
I mean, I get that. Like, if you have kids and stuff, like, I feel like if I ended a relationship, I would maybe want this to have the same last name as my kids.
True, I didn't think of that.
Okay. A lot of parents do that.
Do they?
Yeah, to share a last name.
Did your mom change hers back?
Of course. She didn't.
Carol couldn't wait to get out of the Vasquez.
I don't know. In between the time of when she and my dad divorced and remarried, I don't know if she did.
Okay, but did she take a new last name?
I think she did change it back to Adams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but that wasn't very long. Then she married my stepdad, and she changed it to.
What's his last name?
Townsend.
Oh yeah. Okay. Which is a really cool last name. I'll say
Yeah,
it.
it's not shabby.
No, it's not. It's definitely a good author name.
Yeah, she's thriving on that.
All right, so do the intro. So do the hey, this is Gabby. I love that one. I love
Which one?
my
Oh,
favorite
yeah,
part of
you
the
give me so much. Like,
is the intro.
every time I start my stories on my shop Instagram, like I'm so self-conscious every time I say guys now.
Is that because of me?
Yeah, because you.
Yeah.
But if I said y'all, you'd be making fun of me too.
I say y'all a lot more now, which is weird. Even
Yeah.
as I type, I say y'all more.
Yeah.
I think
It's
because
part of
most
the
of my
vocabulary.
yeah, a lot of Atlanta
Intro.
people are on my phone. I don't know.
All right, my name's Gabby, born and raised in ATL. Left a few places here and there to let my life fall apart just enough to make it back to Atlanta. Um, what else? Been living in the city of Atlanta for probably 5 years now. Crusted out here and there, made some questionable life decisions here and there that I felt were necessary. Still necessary sometimes. See, 3.5 years ago, met my husband in Atlanta and quickly got the ball rolling with him. Moved in together, engaged, baby, and through that, somewhere in that process, decided that it was time to start the business I've always been wanting to start. So I launched my clothing shop and had a baby within 5 days of one another. And we're a year in. Roots turns 1 on the 17th, and Ruth turns 1 on the 22nd.
Whoa.
That's kind of like the screenshot synopsis of
And
the last few years.
there's so much to drill into there, which is kind of like why I wanted you to be my first guest, because I feel like there's so much past craziness between us that we talk about on a daily basis that I think for this sort of thing that I'm trying to create, I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
And because your story is a crusty story, it crumbles. And
also,
I mean,
nobody else agreed to do it. So.
There's so many metaphors, right? Like there's just so many.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool. And the fact that we're family too is even cooler.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to think, like, the first thing that comes to my mind is like the Pittsburgh trip, right? I feel like the Pittsburgh trip is like just a complete metaphor.
Pittsburgh.
It's always like it ended with us trying to create like, okay, what is like it just in shambles crashed.
Yeah.
Right? In the best way possible.
But in the best way possible. I think that like if
Which
things were going to go wrong, they should have gone wrong that way. And I love the Pittsburgh story. I mean, it lasted like a whopping month.
I still have the socks from the bowling alley we went to. I still wear those.
That's a metaphor in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pittsburgh was important because that like such small, brief period in my life was probably one of the most like monumental and like biggest periods in my life in like the shortest amount of time, you know, like in a small window. Like I think about that time frequently, and it was like a month of my life. But a lot happened in that month.
And you know what was cool? So like, let's dive into that a little bit, because I think that's what's interesting. The pre and the post of it is kind of what's the most. Because I think yes, I was all about you making the decision of whether you wanted to go to Carnegie Mellon or not, and you actually moving in, and then me being there as you were moving out, which was kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Moving in and out in the same weekend.
Yeah.
And doing all the things we did, like hang out. But then I remember, like, you know, to get vulnerable a little bit, I remember you leaving Pittsburgh, having to come back, and then not even wanting to tell people that you were back because you were like a little ashamed, right? And I just think that's so funny because like now, you know, your mood and your attitude is so like, I don't give a fuck, right? Like, hey, this is me, unapologetic.
I have like something to show for that, which I think is also something that's like skewed in like our society. When I came back from Pittsburgh and I let, you know, grad school fall through, I was ashamed that I didn't follow through with it. I was ashamed that I was coming back and I didn't have a plan. You know, I came back and I got a job at a restaurant. And, you know, I was like barely talking to, I was barely talking to like, my other family.
Mhm.
And I felt like I couldn't come back and be like, okay, I know I really like effed up that part of my life. Like, look what I'm doing now. I didn't, have anything to show for that. So I felt, I didn't want to tell people that I was back. Now at a point in my life, I'm like, oh, look, no, I'm doing great things. Like, I'm actually better than I was, and I'm doing better things now than if I stayed in school. And like, that's dumb. I shouldn't feel like I have to be like, okay, I know that part I fucked up, but look what I'm doing now. Like, it's really great. It's really good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to have the other side of it. I just like thought I did.
Yes.
That's the way
100%.
like you're made to feel.
Yeah, and I mean, I think everybody goes through that. I go through that, right? I mean, I think that even as early as like fifth grade, it's like immigrant parents want you to be like great at school and have this career. I think Andrea's the only one who's fulfilled on that.
Right. Yeah. That's like her story, like she's good at that, and she like knew what she wanted, and like that's what she wanted, and she went and got it, and like that's amazing.
Yeah,
And
and
that's what
between
was
the
for her.
doctor, the whole thing, like that was really cool, and that's what definitely my dad pushed on me, and plus
Right.
he lived so close in proximity to me that was the comparison, and I was the older one.
Right.
Older one with bad grades and delivering fruit for a living for a while. So it was like, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And then it ended up working out. But that put the pressure to want to look good, and that put the pressure to want to show them that, hey, my avenue works, and it's good for me. And I think that's something that's like a lot of courage, right? We don't necessarily come out and like say that, like, oh, well, I didn't really say that either. It wasn't like, hey, look what I'm going to do at the end. You're going to see. Like, I was kind of like scared. I'm like, damn, bro, like, am I fucking this whole thing up? And that's relatable. Like, that's the one thing you did that was like super relatable to what I've been through too.
Yeah, like we're scared to be vulnerable when we're trying to like figure our shit out. We think we have to like have it figured out, and then we can like flaunt
Yeah.
the end result of having it figured out. Like, there's shame in the process of getting there,
Yeah, and then there's courage on the other side, because now it's like, now that you've had your, we'll call them metaphors, or you've had your crumble moments, you've got more context for what's going forward, and it's just you're stronger, you're more knowledgeable, like it's everything. And I think that happens all the time, and I like it. So it kind of makes me, that's kind of why I want to do this more, right? I feel like even if this fails, or even if this is like cringeworthy to certain people, it's going to teach me something in the way that I communicate and the way that I just share with people. Because, I mean, I've always been like the person who like wanted to be like a good artist when I was little. Like, always wanted to draw, always wanted to like sing. My voice is, I don't think it's that tone that is like actually enjoyable for people in a music setting. I don't draw that well at all. I think the one thing that I'm good at is kind of like the gift of gab. So that's why I'm like, okay, let me try this to see if I'm good at this.
You're a chatter. You're a good talker.
Yeah. And, even though there's people that I even have in the back of my mind now that I'm like, oh, here goes Rob again. Like, he's just fucking this. And I'm like, I'm starting to enjoy that more. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna start getting T-shirts with their names on them.
Light of,
Yeah, which is kind of like a little bit of a fuel, I guess, to it.
Yeah.
But I just enjoy this. Like, this is fun for me. Like, I like my normal job, but seems like I can't wait to have like you, like other people on this, and then see where it goes in like 40 episodes, and then I'll decide whether I think it's cringeworthy or not.
But there's, I think what like the stigma that we need to break down and that we need to expose that there's no shame in the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, even when Roots first started, or when this is first starting, like we're still kind of pressured into being like, okay, keep it hush hush. Like, you're not paying your bills yet. Like, you don't have a lot of views yet. A lot of people aren't listening yet. So like, don't hype yourself up until you have those things, and then you can hype yourself up. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's why, there was like embarrassment and shame, like when I came home, like when I should have just been like, look, I went, it was a big fuck up. I should have never done it to begin with. I'm back, and like, I'm figuring my shit out. Like, I should be just as proud as that moment, in that time of my life as I am now. And
100%.
you should be just as, proud and encouraged by like this stage in your podcast as you should be a year from now, like no matter how many viewers, so like there's this stigma that we shouldn't be proud in the struggle, like only rejoice in the wins,
Yeah. And I think the perspective is what matters, right? Because I think that if you bring it into, okay, you were let's bring it granular, right? You were going to Carnegie Mellon to go and be in what? Was it pre-law? What was it?
Well, no, actually, like I couldn't score high. I literally wasn't scoring high enough to get into law school. That's why I even decided that I was like, okay, I still need to do some sort of postgraduate, education. It was for public administration and like
Okay.
business
But at the
management.
end of the day, what did you want to do? You wanted to help people? You wanted to
Yeah, I definitely wanted something like in the public sector. And like, listen, I still loved like the law. Like the reasons that I even got a criminal justice major and that I wanted to be pre-law is because like I love the things about it.
Yeah.
Does that necessarily mean that it was like my life passion and that's what I should be doing for the rest of my life? No, I was just that school-wise, what I could pick from out of school, that's what I was most passionate about.
Yeah, which makes sense in a rational way. That makes sense, right? But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, do you like? I mean, this is kind of like an open question. Do you think that you would have helped more people had you gone forward with that and struggled through it, or in your quick decision and going with your gut and then leaving, going through this, and now coming out on the other side and everything that you're creating, helping people this way? So it's like maybe your fuck up, right, that you define it as, actually was the reason that people can relate to you more and gives you bigger influence and more relatability.
Yeah. No, I think had I continued on that path, no doubt I would have helped people. But I think the way that I'm like helping people now is like much more true to me.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I feel like I'm able to help more because I can relate to it. Had I stayed on that path that I was going to school for, I think helping people would have been like a very like surface level assistance and help for me. Like now I feel like invested in the help, and I feel like invested in the questions people ask me, or like the nice things that they say to me, like, oh, like your mom doing this, like that's so encouraging, like, oh, you started your own business, like that's so brave. I feel like the way that I'm like helping in those ways I can relate to more because I'm doing it. And I feel like had maybe I stayed on that career path, I was helping, but like my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, it's funny, even
Much more genuine help now, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it shows, right? Because I'll get messages about you. Thank God now with messages about, your business and your mom, and it's not like, oh my God, who's your cousin? And I'm like, Jesus. Like now it's more like, oh my God, like your cousin.
Nobody asks that anymore now that
Yeah, I know. Yeah, now you started posting Harrison, so they backed off.
I know, yeah.
But then it switched, because then the girls were like, damn, who's Gabby's man? He looks like a lumberjack.
Gotta be one of us.
Oh God. But I mean, it's funny, right? Because then you're doing those things, you're doing Rooch, and then a lot of girls in my like Insta or whatever are like, damn, like your cousin's so dope, like seeing this from your cousin, and like you're even like they're talking to you, like Val's a big fan, Tina's a big fan, like these are people who are like, yo, we just like, she's just real, and I think that comes across.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because it's funny, when I first like started all of this and started Roots, like my goal was for like no one to know that it was me behind it. Like I wanted like Roots and my Instagram to be like this, anonymous business that was like the personality was just like in the clothing and like the accessories and stuff, and like I quickly learned that like that wasn't working. And I think I remember one time I posted like I like agonized over it for days of like, okay, do I post this picture of myself and like one of these accessories and like introduce myself? Like that seems lame. I did it, and I got like so much more engagement and like so many more like followers and just comments, and like and it's still true to this day. The more I share about like my life and my story and like personal aspects to it, I get great feedback. And like yesterday I did those stories of like, look, I bought these items and I'm not thrilled about them. I don't want to officially sell them on my site. Like I'm selling them on my stories. What's up? Even people who didn't buy, I was getting DMs like, I think it's so cool that you're staying true to your brand and you're being honest about like, look, I fucked up. I don't like these pieces. I don't want to make a profit on them. If you want them, I'm selling them for cheap. Like, I've had a lot of people buy because of that, and I have a lot of people just reach out being like, I totally respect that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think I would see something like that coming from like Nasty Gal or like, Lulu, you know what I mean? Like, no one's hopping on there and being like, okay, I fucked up. Like,
yep.
This is what happens. Who wants them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's like getting a lot of
the truth comes across, right? I think the truth comes across, and that's why I lean into that a lot, right? Like that level of communication, that approach, or whatever you want to call it, it hits, and I think that it connects with people like me. I think it connects with a lot of people in the audience because, especially in my world, like you could call my world the corporate world, right? It's like the cybersecurity, big technology companies selling to big companies, and the world that I'm exposed to a lot of the time is, I call it an auto reply world.
Yeah.
We're locked, or they're weird. Like everybody is locked and loaded with just auto responses so that they can get to the next thing.
Yeah.
And people are yearning, and I yearn. Like when I talk to people, like my whole goal is how quickly can I get them to actually be candid?
Yeah.
How quickly can I get them to be honest with me and use the language that they actually would use in an informal setting?
Themselves.
This is like the psychology of it, of sales, right? How can I get them to get there so they feel comfortable? And then that will actually connect with me, because if they just talk to me in these very vague, non-direct, just fucking like annoying terms, and I just feel like I'm basically like, you might as well just put your your out of office that I'm saying right now. And I don't necessarily call my clients out on it as much in a direct way, but the people that I speak to internally, I go very granular to the fact that, like, hey, like what you're saying is coming across this way. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but like be aware of it. And I think sometimes if you've been with the company for 10, 15, 20 years, you don't even see it because you're in the matrix.
Yeah.
You don't even realize because you've been breathing that air for so long. So it's like, hey,
into us, it's like, don't have your personality. Here's your script. Here's how it's supposed to go. If you deviate from this, it's weird.
Yeah.
So don't be weird.
Yep.
Like, here's what you're supposed to say. Stick to it. Don't make any waves.
Yeah.
Hush, hush.
And a lot of people have
people are dying for connection. People want connection.
But true connection.
Right.
Not like the fake smile and like
I feel that. I wouldn't even call that connection. I don't think people connect with that. I think if I hop on like my Instagram stories and like I'm looking like a hot mess, not wearing anything from like my shop and like holding my daughter, I'm like, yeah, no, today's just like fucking hard, guys.
Yeah. The one with the fly and the coffee, remember that one?
Yeah, like that's real. They're like, oh, okay, shit, like I just had a day like that too, and like she's having it, and like from the outside in, it looks like she's running this successful business and like supporting her whole family off of it. Far from the truth, but it like breaks down that barrier. It breaks down the barrier.
Yeah, and it makes people feel more comfortable. And the thing that I'm learning is that not to judge other people's approaches to it, right? Because everybody's got their own way of doing it. The way that I do it might make people uncomfortable and feel like I'm putting pressure or I'm aggressive. But the intent is to really just like, hey, we're the same, we're equal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to come across to you as like a sales vendor, and I don't want just to look at you like a dollar sign. Like, you have a legit problem. I want to help you solve it. If it's with me, great. If it's not, great. Like, we could do business 80 years from now. I really don't care. Like, that's how I approach my thing, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
And that's why like my whole process isn't as daunting, because not to shout anybody out, I'll keep this vague because like we're still in the first episode here. I don't want to go too crazy, but like, I've been on presentations where it is a very scripted PowerPoint, not really connecting with the user, and within 4 seconds it's like this. They're on their phone, they don't care, right? So like I start every meeting, I don't even open the laptop. Like, let's just sit around a table, let's have coffee, let's have Jamba Juice, I don't care, whatever you like, and let's just get down to it directly, and then I'll move on to the next one. So and that to some people might be, oh, he doesn't care, but to other people it's like, oh man, thank you. Like, I can't tell you how many people are like, Rob, thank you so much for not going through a PowerPoint. Rob, thank you so much for not wearing a suit. Thank you so much. Like, thank you for not making this another corporate presentation that my boss told me I had to sit through.
Right.
And they like it. And then the guy that I work with, Jonathan, you know him. Yeah. He's a big funny teddy bear. Yeah. And we have fun. They feel that connection. right? They feel the laughter and they want to be a part of it, right? That's another psychology of it. I think that's one of the reasons me and Vinny work together so well, is because we bounce that energy off of each other.
You have a pulse.
Yeah, and it's
for like signs of life.
Yeah, and because a lot of the times, and in what I faced when I was early, I've been in now 8-9 years. In the beginning, it's like these are young kids who don't know what the hell they're talking about. So there had to be some sort of party atmosphere, some sort of fun atmosphere to attract people to us, to listen to us through a different filter rather than these little rats. They're out here just for free beer and sandwiches.
I think they initially think it's just a spectacle, and then you keep talking, and you're like, okay, maybe it's like a little bit more than a spectacle. Like, I'm entertained.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah,
That's one. I mean, I think that translates into all different businesses, though. Mm-hmm. I think that I think you do that in your own way, right? That's what I'm starting to feel.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
I still don't know a lot. I don't know.
It's actually my favorite.
I have myself saying that a lot of times throughout the day, like, I just don't know. I don't know.
Kat calls me out on that all the time because that's one of my favorite words to use. I don't know. She's like, you do know.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know. I'm just trying.
Next.
See what sticks. Start throwing a bunch of shit at the wall, and we're just gonna see what sticks.
All right. So we've gone 45 minutes so far. Let's transition.
Yeah. You can make 2 episodes out of this.
Yeah, we can do a part 2 or whatever. So let's get into a little bit more, I don't want to call it a serious topic, but a different topic. Yeah. Let's talk about one of the things that I think, because I'm thinking about, okay, what do the audience actually want to hear, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously people love hearing us ramble, but to actually bring value to them in a certain context, especially around the theme of Mother's Day, which is coming around Sunday. Yeah. Do you know what Harrison got you yet, or you don't know?
No, it's just a lot of, Sunday's Mother's Day, right? Right.
You said that to him, or he's saying that to you?
I say that to him.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know what he has planned. A little hard in quarantine, but.
True, but he goes out, so he can surprise.
Yeah, no, I definitely expect something.
Yeah, the thing is, Catherine and I share an Amazon account, so when she ordered me stuff for Father's Day, I could see it, so I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And then this Mother's Day, I got her something. It's actually right over here. She hasn't seen it yet, but she knows what it is because she sent me the link.
Yeah.
So, surprise. I got her a card from CVS because I go to CVS once a week.
Nice.
Gloves, mask, goggles. I'm just set up. It's so bad.
Hazmat suit.
Oh God, it's so real. And we could talk a little bit about that too, right? I think we could talk around the whole theme of motherhood. I think one of the things that is on your whatever quote unquote brand is that you're right now not a single you're a single stay-at-home mom with no you're
Harrison.
Let's call it this, since you're in the South, you're a homemaker, you're a mom to not even a 1-year-old, about to be a 1-year-old, business owner, recovering corporate admin, bread baker.
Yeah, I mean, that happened once.
You've got mint growing in the backyard.
You do.
And your room is always a mess. So let's talk about this. This is just real life.
Yeah. What about it? That was just a day. Yeah. I mean, I probably couldn't have piled more things on my plate at one time than I have now. I mean, or a year ago, and those things are still on my plate. I got pregnant, started my business at the same time, or when she was born. After my maternity leave was up, I didn't go back to work. I didn't go back to my corporate job. 4 months later, we had a wedding.
Which I officiated.
Yes, you did.
I got a 9 out of 10. You told me after the ceremony.
Who told you that?
You did.
I don't remember saying
that. 9 out of 10.
I don't remember 9, but we'll see.
So your vows, not to cut you off, your vows were a 10 out of 10. I almost cried.
Yeah.
And the best part, which I think that we should have some sort of video on, there's certain moments in my life that stand out. They're sound bites, right?
Yeah.
The one where you went, This was the tearjerker. You saved me. This was such a Vasquez moment. You saved me. And then you started to break down. Everyone started to break down. And then the next line was, not because I needed saving. That was the most Gabby moment, most Vasquez.
Like, oh, you saved me, but like, don't get it twisted. I
But
didn't
like, not
need
that
to be saved.
But like, you saved me, but I didn't need saving.
No one asked you to save me.
So anyway, go on. I just needed to say that because that was like one of my
That's so funny. I didn't even like realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Sorry.
Not because I wanted you to. Not because
Yeah.
I let you save
That
me.
was on you.
I let you do that.
Yeah.
So funny.
That was. I mean, those are really good. I still have them. I think, right? I still have the book with the thing in them.
My vows?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, I've been looking for that.
I have them. I'm not
Why
sure
do you have my vows?
I have them.
Send them back.
I mean, does the post office even still work right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yummy? Do you really?
I'll find them this week.
So funny.
Good.
Yeah, where are we going? I don't know. Yeah, I've done everything. Every like life change we could go through, I've done in the past year.
You really have.
Like every major life change, starting a business, having a baby, getting married. What else? I don't even know. That's it. That's life.
It is. Do you bundle it as that, or do you like I can't even say that word. Do you like categorize them, or do you just feel like everything is just life?
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, are you in some sort of time management? Like, I don't know how anal you are about time management, but are you like, okay, from like this part, right? 9:15 to whatever, I'm going to talk to Rob. And then I got to do Instagram content for, like, are you like that? Or
No,
you just
I can't be that anal because Ruth isn't that anal. So
yeah.
I wish I could be. You know, I do my best to time out her naps and stuff, and I try to get as much done as I can in those time periods because when she's awake, I want to give her my attention and I want her to like, you know, learn and grow things. I don't want her to just play by herself. So, I mean, I do my best to like aim for things that I want to get done when I think she's going to nap. Sometimes it goes that way. Sometimes it doesn't go that way.
Sure. I
can't be too anal about it. I'll be very disappointed every day.
Yeah. It would cause frustration that God knows having a 1-year-old has its own frustrations in general.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's great to be able to stay home with her, but like I will tell you now, I mean, there's so much more on my plate than there ever was when I was like working with the company that I was before. I actually felt like I had a ton of downtime when I was with them.
You guys are superheroes.
Huh?
To be a mom, the first I mean, you look at, especially from me, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure Harrison feels the same. The way you look at your wife after she has your kid is a whole different superhero than what you saw her before. Your relationship changes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And it changes in the way that I appreciate her. It changes in the gratitude that I have for her because I see and I know how much time she puts in for P and what she has to do and what she has to think about on top of the plate that she already has. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's just, you know, she's the architect of this. She's like the architect of P right now.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to see. Right?
And that, you know, dads, you know, dads have their part and they have their role, and like this may be like unpopular opinion, but like dads don't know like what babies need the way like mothers know what they need.
Yeah.
And that's like, and I hate that because I hate like, you know,
but it's not a stigma. Like it's not a bad thing.
You know, like not like, oh, this is mom role, this is dad role. There's just like things that I think about during the day and that like I'm already like, you know, the wheels are turning in my head for her that just like don't occur to Harrison. Not because he's a bad person or a bad dad or because, you know, it just, I'm like, we do have motherly instincts. They were physically a part of us. Like we just inherently and internally know what they need. And like our minds are like always revolving around that. And I actually read this really interesting article not long ago saying like, you know, the stigma behind like stay-at-home moms. We have to think about it like, okay, if you were to put stay-at-home mom in like a corporate job description.
Oh my God, okay? CEO.
Yeah. Project or operations manager. And they're like, you realize at a corporate job, operations manager, that is your only job. You literally are just managing operations. So as facts is like cleaning the house, getting things done, making sure they eat, cooking dinner, like planning out like the day, like that is operations management.
And
Now
then
you add
adapting to when
doing
things
that.
don't go, when
Yeah.
things crumble. Like
Yeah.
the things that's crazy, it's like once, especially in the beginning, once you have a routine, it changes.
Yeah.
His routine now is different from when it was at 6 months. We've had to adapt.
Yeah.
And if they get sick, if they have a weird cough that you have to go, or if they have something on their foot that you have to keep track of, these are things that you're constantly like adapting to.
It's not even only things like you're thinking of. So, in the sense of like an operations manager, you're also doing those things. You're not just managed. Like I could spend all day long telling you like what needs to be done, and that could be my job, and I could have a full plate of it. But not only do I knowing what needs to be done and planning it out of my head, I'm doing it.
Yes.
So I'm also an operations manager, and I'm also like doing the operations. So it's so much more on my plate than like it ever was when I was working in corporate. And like moms that like work, I used to say like, I used to say like, I'll keep my corporate job as long as I can, work from home. If I could just work from home, easy peasy. Absolutely no way would I have been able to do my job working from home. And I know a lot of moms who, had to come home because of quarantine, and I don't know how they're doing it. My best friend Mallory does it. She's still working full-time remotely, and they have, their son is a month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks younger than Ruth. Don't know how it's happening.
People adapt, and I don't know either. I mean, I think it's different. It's kind of like, I don't know what analogy is, but it's kind of like working out, right? I mean, you guys have such a heavy plate that you're stronger now, and you just move quicker. And you guys, I mean, I just keep using the word superheroes, right? So now something like, working at Boston Consulting would be a breeze for you after everything you've just done.
I don't know, man.
It's a different skill, it's a different muscle, but your muscles are much stronger now. So you adapt, and you guys are used to, not used to it, but.
I mean, I am like grateful that I can, I can turn off like what I'm doing on Roots whenever I want, like on and off throughout the day. It's like not ideal, but I can, I can't imagine still working in the role that I was in with like, I can't just call and be like, hey, I'm going to move this entire team meeting.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to push this deadline back because I got like things to do today. Like, I have that freedom with what I do. Those parents don't necessarily have that freedom. I don't know how I would, because I move everything around her naps and stuff.
Yep.
Working for a company and working on a team, you don't have that luxury to be like, stop, my kid's sleeping, so can we do it at this time? And then, you don't have that luxury.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, Kat has to get on calls at 7 a.m., sometimes 6 a.m. So I take the morning shift, and then Jocelyn starts at 8. We both grind until 5. I feed P at 5, and then we play with her take her outside, do whatever until 6:30, and then we start winding down for 6:45 bath time. And I mean, that's our routine, and that will change, as she gets older and as she needs more or less. We just kind of adapt, and it's what works. Everybody's got their own thing that works.
Yeah.
And just figure it out.
Got to find what works, what keeps everyone happy and sane.
Yeah, and you got to be happy. You can't be, it's going to be funny that like, P and Ruth are going to be able to watch this in like, 18, 15, 20 years and understand like, oh my God, my dad was young and he was somewhat skinny.
It's a really good haircut.
And oh God, don't even get me started on the hair. And they're going to be like, wow, like they're going to be able to relate to this because they're going to be coming into that themselves.
Yeah.
I don't want to cry on my first podcast thinking about her wedding, but like, just thinking about those milestones, thinking about the fact that, oh shit, like the stuff that my dad went through or my aunt went through is so relatable to what I'm going through now. It'll have different names and there'll be different society norms at that point. Hopefully, I don't know. It'll be different, but the things that they'll go through, I think, will be similar formats. And I'm hoping that, anything that comes out of this, as we wrap up in the next 3 minutes, because we've got an hour, which I know we could go 10 more hours, but still, we'll wrap this up in a straight 1 hour. you know, it'll be cool to see them enjoy that or see this and pass that on to them. Just to see like, oh shit, like my dad and my aunt were close and this is how they talk to each other. Like this is how family can talk to each other.
Yeah.
You know? And they can be reminded of that when there's ever, you know, a family quarrel or whether, you know, they're going through something with their spouse. Like they can look to their, like the same way I look to you for like guidance or reality check, right? I think sometimes I need to be brought down from the clouds.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you're being a jerk, or you're being pretentious, or like, did you realize what you just said sounded like this? And I need people like that in my life. Otherwise, I fly off. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. That's why we have people like this in our lives, right? I don't need to do it all by myself. I think
Right.
it's a good thing. And just
Not meant to.
yeah, being real, being nice, and you know, I mean, I'll probably pound on this a million times, like, because I'm so like, you know, it's gonna be funny the fact that I do what I do out of spite for my parents, but I get good things from them. It'll be cool to see how P translate that into her,
Yeah.
right? Because she's gonna use certain things that I've done, or certain things that I say, or certain things that I've instilled as like, forget that, like no, like,
Yeah. How are they gonna rebel?
I mean, they're going to. I did. We all did.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
I hope it's funny.
Yeah, I hope it's like not like life altering.
Yeah.
I was just
Like I didn't like. Do you have any tattoos?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do on your ankles. I don't have any tattoos. I don't think that way. All right, let's finish this off. Ready? So in the 30 seconds we have, this is what we're gonna do on every podcast now. Discover the blank in you by listening to the blank in them. This is putting you on the spot. I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it.
All right.
What I want to do is basically have everybody answer this at the end of the podcast, because I think that a lot of the things that we touched on today are going to, like, you know, bring people closer into our world, are going to maybe inspire them, motivate them, maybe just feel more comfortable in the things that they're going through by hearing it from a different perspective. And then hopefully listen more, or not. But what would be your fill in the blank?
So I don't know why this like comes to me. Like I think it's like a total projection, which is like all we're ever doing, you know, like our opinions and our actions and stuff are like projections of what we're putting out there and like our reality, you know what I mean? So I think like in relation to this conversation and the context that I'm currently taking it, I mean, if you asked me in 10 minutes, maybe it would change. But I don't know, maybe discovering the capabilities in me by listening to the doubt in them.
Say it again.
Discovering the capabilities in me while listening to the doubt in them.
I love it.
I'm not saying anybody doubted me. I think that's my projection.
Yeah.
Like projections that I got from like, I don't know anyone that's really ever said that to me. Really ever been like, I don't think you could.
Yeah.
But that's what I've like felt. I feel like people think that like I couldn't, or like it was just like talk.
Yeah.
So like now that like I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, well I'm definitely capable of doing it. Like I am doing it. But it's a lot of it was driven by like the doubt I thought people had in me.
Yeah. I love that. No, I think that's super related. I can relate to that in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. I love you.
Love you.
And we're ending the recording now.